Hi and welcome to Living Swedish. You know, I've been living here for over 4 years and sometimes it's easy to forget what life was before I moved to Sweden. So in today's video, I want to reflect a little bit on some habits I had before I moved to Sweden, and now I live in Sweden. I do not do that anymore, and I want to explore a little bit like what these things were, and I want to explore these things a little bit with you. If you're someone who also moved to Sweden, let me know what has actually changed for you. What kind of habits did you stop? And if you're Swede, also let me know if you discovered anything in particular you actually are not doing, but other countries you maybe have visited are doing it. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't lived in Sweden at all, but you have questions, please also let me know down in the comments below. You can ask me anything and then we can compare, what we do here in Sweden and what you do in your own home country. And also to my newsletter where I share more things about life in Sweden. And you also get a little ebook with a few questions for you if Sweden is the right fit for you. There's a link in the description down below. Let's get started. So the first kind of thing I don't really do anymore is like drinking 5 glasses of wine in a restaurant. Okay, maybe that's super exaggerated. I haven't done that much before, although if I really think about it, when I was younger, I probably had easily 5 glasses of wine in a restaurant or, in a pub because I lived in London at the time. But that's really something I don't do much anymore because it is so expensive. Honestly, every time I go into a restaurant, and order food and, sometimes I really like to have a glass of wine or 2 with it. Like I look at the prices and it's just, it is honestly really expensive. So I have really stopped trying to drink too much alcohol in a restaurant. Either I would not drink at all, max have 1 glass of wine, or just drink at home which I barely do, but that is something which has really changed, and I think that's the intention of Sweden, make it really expensive so people don't drink that much. The result is that you do have less drunk people, which is kind of nice. But yeah, if you love drinking lots of wine in a restaurant, unless you're quite rich, it hurts a little bit to spend all that money on alcohol in a restaurant. And another thing is I can really not reverse how I see waste these days, since I moved to Sweden, because recycling is such a religion in this country. And I also live a little bit further out. We have a super, station for all the different recycling things like plastic and paper and bottles, and you even like not bottles, glass, sorry, and you even like distinguish between like light glass, white glass, green and brown glass. And once you do it, and even everyone is doing it, and once you do it you cannot go back. And I come from Germany, and Germany is actually also quite good with recycling, at least where my parents live, also a little bit in the countryside. And it's quite big there as well. But then I moved to London and, you kind of like always adapt a little bit to where you live. And in London, it's definitely not as big. Yes, it does exist. I remember we had a little bit of recycling, but we put everything in the same kind of thing. It was not a religion, we did it. And sometimes when we didn't do it, it was fine because everyone, decides for themselves. So it's a little bit like, yeah, you can do it or you don't have to do it. But here I feel like if I don't do it, like I really would not adapt to the Swedish culture. So recycling is such a big thing, and I cannot just throw something away. If I know you can recycle it, it needs to be recycled. And then another thing which has really changed since I moved here is that I don't pay with cash anymore at all. For 4 years I haven't seen any cash money at all. Everything is by card or with your phone or with an app, which is really crazy. Like I'm so used to it that I think it's the most normal thing in the world. But especially when I also go back to Germany, you know, my parents, I think they mainly pay with cash. They always get some cash out of the machine, ATM, and then pay for things. Obviously, you can pay in Germany as well with your card, but it's just like how you live your life, right? And cash is more king in Germany, but in Sweden it's not. And honestly, I personally quite like it. The only problem I have is finding a way to teach my children, you know, how to deal with money, because they don't actually have the physical money. And I already tried a little bit with fake money or like other things, but it's actually quite hard if it's not like, you know, the real serious money. So I definitely have to find a way to teach them, you know, about saving money, investing money. I mean, investing is already not really with cash, right? But yeah, that's definitely has changed so much since I moved to Sweden. I think it's a positive thing, but it's also kind of weird when you compare it to other countries. Let me know if you use cash more or card in your country. And then the last thing is being spontaneous and, you know, meeting up spontaneously with people. I think in London, I definitely did that much more. I don't know sometimes if it's more circumstantial, you know, I have a family, we have a bit of a routine, then you do try to kind of, you know, plan ahead a little bit, like, and I'm talking mainly also about the weekends. And if you then ask someone if they have, you know, time tomorrow is Saturday, they're more likely to say no, and they probably made those plans weeks ago. So you can't really be super spontaneous, and I heard people also complaining about this a little bit, even with people who don't have kids, you know, and don't have these responsibilities. But even then, when they try to make spontaneous plans, people are not so spontaneous. Maybe it's a Swedish thing. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me something about it. Let me know in the comments below. But yeah, spontaneity, if that's how you say it, is not super big here in Sweden. It's more like a planning culture. But then again, I live a life where planning is actually quite important with children. So I could be wrong, but for me, it has changed quite a bit since I moved to Sweden, and I experienced that also with my friends, that it's harder to really make plans spontaneously, and it has to be more weeks in advance. Well, thank you so much for watching till the end, and I will see you in my next video. Hej då!